speaking of photography and videography as a career, I have so much respect for the work you do because I remember trying to make it as a as a fashion photographer myself during my early 20s, and like the difficulty I found in just trying to make money, and especially when you consider like how affordable, like I said, how affordable high quality photography has gotten and the amount of competition out there. Like it can be difficult. Like like once you get into it, you're like, oh, there's a lot of motherfuckers out there. Like there's a lot of them out
There,
there.
there
And so
are.
for our audience members who want to get into this field but are still stuck doing trade shoots or like unpaid gigs, like what's the advice that you would give them to transition and to break out from being an amateur to someone who is professional and who can actually make a living off of this?
Bottom line would be to always keep learning. Even though you think, I had this attitude too as a, like, I used to have the attitude of like, oh, I think I know better, and clearly I didn't because I think no, well, part of it too is it's you have to. I feel like you always have to keep learning, uh, because that's the only way you're gonna get better. Don't ever think of yourself as the actual like as an actual expert professional. I mean, sure, you are an expert or a professional, but don't have that ego. Think
Mm-hmm.
of yourself as like you're always a student. You can always adapt. I thought I knew enough, but then when I worked at my last company, with USA Today, and like my last team we got absorbed by USA Today. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, anyways, we I thought I knew enough, but like about editing. But then I met my supervisor and then my creative director, and they literally expanded everything on just like, oh no, you can do it this way. This will be it's a lot faster, a lot better, not as time consuming.
Mm-hmm.
So by being open to like learning new experiences, looking up YouTube videos looking up YouTube videos of just people like how do I set up my lights and such.
Mm-hmm.
That's to me that's one way you can get past to being amateur or get past being an amateur. Second would be just understand your like what material you have, or your like understand your equipment.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just have, I mean, a lot of people, everyone has an iPhone or smartphone of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
And if you really like photography, yeah, you can still use it, but it's only as good as if you don't know how to like, set the proper framing, composition, you can still do it with this.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get the right lighting, it'll look, it'll look perfect. So if you know your tech too, that's, I guess to me, that's like, that'll set you apart from amateur versus prosumer, right? Or yeah, professional, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I mean, that's actually falls in line with the next question that I want to talk about because as camera nerds, I think you and I can talk about camera bodies and lenses and like all the
Yeah.
expensive shit that we wish we had. But I mean, I think like both of us understand that when it comes down to making really great photography or video, like you said, it really boils down to the photographer and like your understanding of composition and lighting, how to use that your piece of equipment. Which, by the way, I have all my camera shit over here, but I'm more of a Fuji guy. I switched over from DSLR because it was so fucking clunky, and then I moved to mirrorless, and I'm like, oh my god, I love it. Um,
Yeah.
what do you have?
Yeah.
Oh,
So
nice.
I have two, actually have two Sony cameras. I got this guy recently, the A6500. It's an older
Ooh.
model, but to me, it's just like, if I'm on the streets all the time, I want something like this to
Mm-hmm.
carry rather than, let me, I have this. This is my actual baby, the A7S2.
Oh, damn.
So yeah, they're
And they
both
all use the
pretty.
same lens system, right?
Yeah, yeah. And actually, I used to be a Canon guy, so I thought I was hot shit when I had the Canon 5D Mark III. Dude, it was awesome to have.
Yeah.
I had that, and it got me through. It got me through film school. And it got me through my early career. But then my at a manager, he's like, "Oh no, you should look into the Sony like cameras. They're really good." So I bought a A7, and converted from there. Sold all my Canon stuff. Yeah,
Yeah, man.
except for I bought a bunch of cinema lenses for Canon, so
Ooh.
I hooked those up to this guy,
You just get
and
like
it's
an
just like,
adapter, right?
yeah, it just a little like a $20 adapter.
Yeah, like I'm hanging on to an old ass Canon 70 that I got when I was like in college. And this was like I know they already have like the 70 Mark II or whatever. Like I haven't bought Canon shit in such a long time, but like because I remember like it was around that same time like when YouTube was going on, and I was like, okay, I just need a camera that can shoot video, and so I bought Canon shit, and then I'm trying to transition all to mirrorless. But I only have my X100F. I need to get the ones where you can put in the lenses. But I guess my question is again, like I said, I can fucking geek out about camera shit all day. But like what? So your daily driver, your like regular camera is that Sony, the older one. Then you have the A7 for your work, right?
Yeah, so the A7S2, yeah, the A7S2 actually, that's what this one is. This
Mm-hmm.
one was actually my, yeah, I bought this one maybe a couple years ago because it has 4K video and such. And basically, I bought it because I needed to obviously update and find something that I can use, like, or something that could last me for X number of years.
Mm-hmm.
And so this became my like primary go-to camera. I carried it with me everywhere in my backpack,
Mm-hmm.
with at least one lens. But then I bought this guy probably within the past probably like a couple months or something.
Mm-hmm.
Used its older model because I realized living when I moved up here to Seattle, I was like, I'm on the streets all the time, and I don't want to carry this guy all the time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's why I bought the 6500 because it's a crop. It's a crop sensor, so that way all I have to do is, it's a little smaller. It could easily just dangle off my body, just
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm. It's like lightweight, right?
yeah. And then I had this I had this 24 millimeter lens that
Ooh, nice.
light, very light. So that was the main reason. It is just I adapt it to my what I just like what I like to do and what I'm doing on the daily, because it's not, I guess, if I'm on the streets taking photos, it's not as daunting like seeing a guy carrying this
Yep.
around taking
Yep.
photos versus this, and maybe with the giant telephoto.
I mean, like, dude, it was even worse. Like when you were trying to do street photography, like with like a Canon, with like a big old red ring lens. It's like, dude,
Yeah.
people think that you're like people will ask you questions like, "What are you taking this photo for?" But when you take like
Yeah.
that's the thing I love about this Fuji, because a lot of times like you put this up into someone's face and they think like, "Oh, is that a film camera?" Like they don't realize like and they just seem a little bit more like okay about it, because the cameras, like, you can shoot this thing like super quiet, and it's just a little bit more, and especially the fact that it's so much lighter, like that is one of the biggest things. Like I missed the shit out of street photography. Unfortunately, I don't live in like a city that is as like nice to walk around, but
Right.
like that's the tricky thing about street photography. Is like your camera can like it can be like 5 pounds, but after a while it feels like you're carrying a fucking baby. But
Yeah.
we will go ahead and take a quick commercial break. We will be right back.